All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is, was it Tuesday? Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, doing a live video today just because the markets are interesting. So obviously Powell today, so lots to talk about. We're down 1.6% on the spiders. Q's down 1.3. The Dow down 1.7. The Russell's actually holding up a little bit better, down only 1.2. But that can be explained. We talked about this in yesterday's video. I said, look, the Russell, that's not a good look there, and that's telling us something. And maybe that was a leading indicator to today, but down a little bit less. I think a lot of the losses were, pulled forward yesterday from the Russell, but that was giving us a warning sign. That the market was weaker, as were the transports. So transports now weak today again as well. But those are a couple of signs there, and the semis also faded pretty well. We'll talk about NVIDIA in a second. But yeah, basically, I mentioned this on Twitter a couple of times. You guys play basketball at all? The alley-oop. So Bostic is passing. He's throwing it up, and the market is up there underneath the rim, and Jerome Powell is catching it and slamming it down on the market. So Bostic on Friday, I mean, you have to think this was like how could they not have planned this, right? I mean, so Bostic, we're gonna pause. It's over. Basically, he just came out as dovish as you possibly could be. And then today, Powell just sets up for the slam dunk and, came down hard, basically came with the higher for longer narrative. And really it's not just that he said that. He said that the last time he spoke back here, and the market just loved it. The market thought he was a dove, but he really came down hard and said, look, it would be very irresponsible. History shows that loosening monetary policy prematurely, and, he basically just slammed the door shut on any of that talk. And important headlines today, ZT, that cracked 5%. Let's flip over to TradingView so I can show you a better chart of the 2-year yield. There we go. That is above 5. So just barely above that. In addition, 2s and 10s inverted by 103 basis points. 3-month and 10-year inverted by 104. 5s and 30s inverted by 42. And 10s and 30s inverted by almost 9. So inversions across the board. Look at that. Big drop off there. So big declines here in these yield curves. The 30-year is holding up as you'd expect here. Look at the 3-month, 5% there. 5% on the 2-year as well. So that was kind of my trigger, and I said, look, this could be kind of that thing that panics the market. And we got there today. In addition, really those zero DTEs came into play big time. So that there was a big gamma wall at 4,000. You can see we basically hammered on this. I'll go to the actual SPX. We basically hammered on, right above it for a couple hours, and then we broke through. And as soon as that 4,000 level went, that's the same time that the 2-year hit 5%. And so that's, obviously driving us lower here. So, and another thing we talked about yesterday, look at this market here. Did we build supports? Well, that's why we're able to just fade it that quickly. So market's in trouble now. I do think we probably, we're ready for a bounce here potentially. I think 39.75 is good support for the SPX. It looks like we're getting a little bit of a bounce right here, so that might hold. If we look at the 4-hour, you can see we're right into this kind of 20 and 100 moving average. You got the gap fill right there. And I believe we just hit a 618 on the SPX. Right. Yeah, right there. So again, we probably do get some type of a bounce here, but pretty good sell in the markets. And on the daily, it's a good 20 moving average rejection there. Let's take a look at the spiders again. Flip back over. We're back below this trend line. And yeah, good 20 moving average rejection there. We'll see if they try to save the 50 MA by the end of the day. I don't, the 50 is kind of minor at this point. It's more psychological. But again, like we talked about, you hit this 201, 2, 3 times. We have a lower high now. That means we have more momentum. So if we come down here tomorrow, this is not going to hold. Maybe it could hold for a day or so, but I don't think this area here, the 100 and 200, are going to hold on another back test. Maybe it can hold for a few days, but I don't think it's not going to result in this type of move. And again, don't discount those types of failed patterns here. That's why I didn't turn bullish on Friday when we had that big bounce. You have that failed inside bar, that's telling you something. That's the market's way of talking to us. Institutions are bailing. And, really the thesis the whole time has been, hey, look, we're getting down here. We're oversold. We should bounce. It was an impressive bounce, but that's what bear market rallies are. They're big bounces. 140 points in less than 3 days is not the type of thing you see in a bull market. So either way, good sell there. Wiped out all of Friday's gains already. So the SPY is under pressure here. Obviously in the triple Qs, an area I'm watching here is this trend line again. So if we get below this trend line, we probably won't today. But back below that, that's another failed breakout on that. So again, market's under pressure here. Now there are a few things holding up. Tesla is stubbornly strong right now. It's basically holding that reversal bar from last week. It's hanging in there. We look on the intraday. Actually, I think it did go green. It went green briefly today. And NVIDIA, this is an interesting chart here. So NVIDIA, this was like stubbornly, I don't know, irrational exuberance, whatever you want to call it. This was green by, like $7 at one point, 7 points. And I'm looking at the chart like, I can't believe this is unbelievable. Well, we faded out pretty sharply, but it's still holding up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is just arrogance, like people just buying every dip here. But it's kind of pretty amazing there to see a video even holding up. But a pretty good reversal there. AMD was also bidding pretty nicely as well. That is a shooting star now on the daily there. So semi's coming under a little pressure here. Let's look at the actual SMH. Again, hitting that, we talked about 248. They hit that level. We got a nice reversal back below the 20 moving average. We're watching this for a possible head and shoulder. So if that comes down there, that can trigger. So watch that on the SMH there. Cloud software, IGV is holding up, but still, we talked about that trend line yesterday. Good rejection there, and it's getting hit again. So we'll see. This probably needs to come back down and test 280 again. So cloud under a little bit of pressure. Another sector that's really under pressure is the financials. XLF getting roasted here, down 2.5. And we talked about this yesterday as well. I said, look, Berkshire is really the only reason why this is up. And that kind of proved to be true today. Went right up into that 20, good rejection. Nice sell-off. Take a look at regionals. KRE, big dump. So down 3.25 or 3 1/3 there, filling that gap. Huge sell-off on the KRE, KBE, same thing. So not a good look there for financials. Obviously, bonds getting destroyed. ZT through double bottom. We talked about that. That was a dead cat bounce. The 10-year is still holding up here, and the 30-year is holding up. So it's hanging in there okay. I am starting to see, I don't know if this lasts for a while, but it's interesting that the Qs are still outperforming. There's two theories I have for that. One is that a lot of the gains, or a lot of the losses, I should say, were pulled forward last year. So a lot of the rate hikes were kind of priced in to a degree. And that's why you're seeing them underperform. And now you're seeing like the Dow, or you're seeing the Qs outperform, you're seeing the Dow underperform relatively now because they have to play catch up. That's one theory. Another theory is that, and again, we're seeing the yield curves inverting very steeply now. They could be the market starting to price in disinflation, but I'm not sure if that's really going to be the case here because all the data we've had has been very inflationary. Remember, we do have jobs. We have JOLT tomorrow, and we have the actual NFP on Friday. So that will be very important, obviously, but a pretty good reversal here for the spiders, any way you look at it. Let's take a look at a few other sectors, and we'll get into Q&A. Let's look at the transports again. So again, back below that 20 moving average. It's still holding up, though. I mean, there's nothing broken with this pattern here, but we do have lower highs potentially. So we'll just watch for that. If you get back below this green bar low, this will take out this pivot, and then we'll go lower on the transports. But, they're holding up for now. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. XHB, again, so over to housing. Good reversal yesterday. Good follow through today. It's still, it's still holding this gap right here. But again, same kind of, consensus here, thesis here. Like if we look at some of these, that's not the one I want. I want DR Horton. That's a, pretty good bear flag on DR Horton. you know, Lennar. These are bear flagging kind of on these daily time frames here, some of these home builders. So definitely not in love with these patterns. ITB, same thing. Rejection off that 20 MA. VNQ, good rejection here. So we basically back tested this trend line here on a weekly, and that's a good rejection there. So far, it's only Tuesday, but yeah, nice sell there on the VNQ. We talked about fins a little bit. Broker dealers lower, still holding up okay. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. On to energy. So crude all over the map again. Good rejection from that 100 MA with volume. So that's holding up well. And by the way, speaking of volume, the volume on the spiders is much better today. Much better. We haven't seen that on sell days as much lately, but it is much better so far, and there's still an hour to go. But crude continuing to sell off again, just watching that level up there. If that breaks, then it goes a lot higher. If not, then it's setting up for a bear base here to move lower. XLE, you know, down 1.8, nothing terrible. It's actually holding up okay. I don't see anything wrong with these energy stocks at the moment. There's XOP and OIH backing off the highs. This is still holding up well. Nat gas hanging in there okay, holding that 20 moving average. Let's see, you know, it's trying to put in a higher low. I'm not sure it wants to break out just yet. I would like to see more backing and filling on this personally, but it's holding up okay. I do believe the lows are in. It just needs to back and fill a little bit more, but this should work its way up to $4 probably in the next, you know, I would say, you know, 4 to 6 weeks here. Dollar index here, big move. So again, we've been bullish on the dollar for a while here. Up move, inside bar, up move, another inside bar, and a pop. So this probably wants to get up into that 200 there, around 107. You got another red bar, much like this one, up in that area. But if you get through these areas, this is going to go a lot higher. Your big resistance is around 109. But DXY, nice bid today, and obviously the markets are responding. Gold also taking a hit lower. This has to go lower. This should take out these pivots now. You might have a stop right in this area here. You have the 200. You've got this pivot that hasn't been tested, but a pretty good outside move there for a gold contract. Silver also getting crushed as well. This has lower to go. Let it go lower. There is a little bit of support right in this area around 20. I think it's got to go. My level's lower. I'm not going to give it out just yet, but it's got to go a little bit lower than 20. But there is like a 618 right in this area, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we're basically into the 618. So we'll see what it gets here. But you did some consolidation above that, and there's velocity behind this, so I think it wants to head down. I will be getting into it soon, though. I just don't want to give my level out just yet. Platinum finally coming back in. Obviously, never getting to 1,000 there. Good dump there. So I wouldn't expect 900. Or should say 910 to hold on the third test, but you know, nice little reversal there for PL. Copper also selling off nicely. 1, 2, 3 lower highs. This should get to 375. That's the level, and looks like it's headed there. Over to Bitcoin. So that's lower a little bit here, and again, down move inside bar. That's taking that level out. Watch out. Be careful. So 22,057. That's the level. If that breaks, this thing's going to go a lot lower. Be careful with Bitcoin here. You're basically, you know, it looks like you're putting in a rolling top. So be careful with Bitcoin. If it loses that green bar, especially on a weekly, the weekly level is a little bit lower. And that is at 21,368. So those levels are major right there. And it looks like we're just kind of hugging that 50 MA and starting to roll there. So be careful with Bitcoin here. I do not like what I'm seeing here on either the daily or weekly right now, but you know, we'll leave it, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt for now, but it's got to hold this level here on the daily. All right. So let's get over here to spiders. Yeah, so we're getting a little bit of bounce. VIXI starting to come in a little bit. What was interesting earlier is that VIXI was very soft all day long up until that 2-year hit 5%. And it's almost like the market just didn't believe what was happening. Like, oh, we're just going to buy the dip. We had a really nice dead cat bounce here at 400, and we bounced 3 points in 30 minutes. And like I said, like NVIDIA, like this went green, and it was like, I remember looking at this morning and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't, like, what does Powell have to say, you know, for these stocks to go red? But yeah, now VIXI starting to come up a little bit. You know, it's backing off a little bit as we get lower here. Remember, VIXI doesn't look at 0 DTE, so that is, you part of the vol suppression trade, but for right now, pretty good sell there on the markets. Again, does look like we'll probably get some type of a dead cat bounce here into the end of the day. Anyways, we'll get into some Q&A here. All right. So I did cover silver, so I'll cover, so let's look at FSLR. So first silver, yeah, they had a really nice bid here. This should be about done. I know it had, I told you guys, like a Pierce of 200. It's overshot that. It's a strong chart right now. I don't think this has much more gas in the tank, though. You're going into a lot of resistance up here. Long-term resistance and your parabolic. So maybe it can go a little bit higher, but I think this is about done here. And when this comes in, it's going to come in pretty hard. It's, you know, this is what happens when you go parabolic. Sometimes they can go a little bit higher and overshoot, as we know. I mean, speaking of NVIDIA, just look at NVIDIA in 2021 or Tesla. But I do think this is about done up here. 200 and change should be good resistance on FSLR. Tim asking about silver too. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of silver questions today. It's getting hit pretty hard. Wes asking about IWM. Yeah, it should. I mean, this should bounce too. I mean, but it's, you know, you got a good, let's look at the futures here, because I like this look a lot better. That's a really good bear flag there on the Russell. So that is setting up for a move much lower. You'll have some support at this pivot. And then right down here, 1800 is going to be a really good level there on the RTY futures. Maybe it can hold up here for another couple of days, but I do not like this pattern on the Russell. So that is shortable there. Definitely shortable there on the IWM. Yeah, you like the thumbnail? Morning, Beelzy. How you doing? Yep, 2-year surgeon. I'm not familiar with Vermilion. I'm not really a long-term person all that much. It's VET, right? Vermilion. I think this company has exposure to natural gas, doesn't it? Vermilion. But it's tough for me. I mean, I like this level here. You got a 200 moving average either way, and there's probably a fib right in here. Yeah, you're right in, basically into that 618. It could be a tradable level. I don't know for long term, though. I can't comment on that, though. Jojo asking about Netflix. Yeah, this is a soft name. We were short this really throughout most of February, and it finally rolled over for us. We covered right into this dump here, and it's really just gone sideways. This looks very weak. It's kind of holding that 100 moving average, a little oversold here. You know, I'd like a bounce for it to reshort it again, but I don't know if it even gets one. It's very soft here. Probably, you know, it should bounce at 300 either way, but this is a pretty weak look here on that daily time frame of Netflix. Beautiful rising wedge, nice breakdown, losing that 20-week moving average too, but there's a lot of support at 300 that should hang in there, at least for, you know, the mid to near term here. The 1 hour, yeah. Scourge asking about who wants to gamble on 1 hour till expiration. You know, they're actually talking about having hourly expirations. And I was just joking about it like months ago when I said, oh, it's just a matter of time, but they're actually talking about it. Someone asked about Tesla. Yeah, I think this is a distribution pattern. It looks like a Wyckoff, you know, up move. Total short squeeze up move. And then a low, and then a slight higher high, down, lower high, down. If this turns into a lower high, this is setting up to be vulnerable. Technically, though, on the weekly, it's still okay. So just be aware of that. It could still push up, but I think the daily chart's telling us there's distribution, though. But yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, and there's not a lot of support below 186. Yeah, I mean, you got this little area right here, this little kind of consolidation, and then the 50 MA, but yeah, you got a big gap there, and then you got this all the way down here to 125 after that. Yeah, Kevin's saying AMD and Nvidia were good size green, like ridiculously green, considering where the market was. 45-minute gamble. Well, you could short the 10-minute 20 MA right here. That's my best. There's your gamble. If we get there. I've got a couple questions about GE. Yeah, I'd still like this as a short. I still like it. This is I told you guys a week or so ago, or maybe it was like 2 weeks ago. I said it right in this area. This is so overbought. You got a rising wedge here with what looks to be a fake break. And you're going into a monster level up here. This is a monster level. I like this a lot. I have quite a few shorts already. If I didn't, I would short this for sure. I like this a lot as a short. So I think you can do that. And the best part about it too is your stop, you just put a stop at if you close a weekly close above 91, I mean, you're risking a couple points if this breaks down, which it will, this is your support here. So 69, that's like almost 20 points of downside. So I like it a lot. I like that short for sure. I'm getting some questions about wheat. I think wheat is setting up for a move lower. It actually is starting to move lower a little bit here. I wouldn't chase it now because it's already kind of grinded through this triple bottom area. And you're into that 200 moving average here, so I'd be careful with it. There's a lot of support right in this area here, so just be careful. I do think it wants to test that though, so it's definitely a weak chart here on the daily and on the weekly. Yeah, we're probably going to go test that area. Big distribution there on the top, by the way. But yeah, I personally wouldn't do anything with it right now. Let's look at Docu. So they have earnings tomorrow. I generally don't play earnings. But a lot of these names have been getting bids. I mean, look at SE. SE today up 23%. So some of these beaten down stocks have been getting big squeezes off of earnings. And, Salesforce was beaten down. They've had a nice move. A couple others, Roku had a nice bid off earnings. So I don't know. I can't say it won't. It looks like a lot of those charts where you kind of had this up move and then this kind of like push higher here. I can't really say much. If it moves up, this is probably where it's going to stop at 91. If you have a big surge like a lot of these other names have had, but I can't really speak on it. Earnings are a crapshoot, so it's hard to really say. Jay asking about good old DKS. Yeah, it's extended. Yeah. Did they report today? Looks like it, yeah. Or yesterday, maybe. Yeah, it looks like they did. Let me take a look at this. Oh, wow. Yeah, almost. Yeah, in a double top there. That's a strong name, though. It's a really strong trend on the weekly. It is extended, though. Monthly is extended. This probably wants to get through double top, though. I would leave this one alone right now. That's a power move. It could be a blow-off move, but it's a power move. Heavy volume. I would leave this one alone and come back to it. If it gets through double top. If you want to play it with play it with puts, like long dated puts, but I wouldn't touch it right now. Oh wait, let me look at Dash first here. So Dash, yeah, they had earnings a week or two ago. Yeah, this is a pretty good reversal here. So they had earnings. It took a pretty good dump. I don't see anything good with this. You're back below the 200. You're getting a dead cat bounce. Interest rates are going up. This company has a ton of debt. You know, it's a tough trade here. You got a lot of resistance up here with this red bar. You're pulling back off the 200. It's holding up today. It's up 4% in a down market. So, I mean, it's hanging in there. But I don't see anything great on it on the bigger picture. Yeah, Elliot asking about the VIX trade, 50 cent. I don't know. What was he? I think he was buying the VIX 50, right? And for March. I don't think so. I don't see that happening. But unless he closes it early. Vol's very suppressed right now. So even with the market going lower, and I think that is part of what the zero DTEs are there for. They can push the market lower and not spike volatility. So my kind of theory right now is the Fed want the market lower. They don't want panic though. So that's why we're getting this kind of grind, and we're getting kind of these big bounces and then sell-offs and then big bounces and then sell-offs. They don't want panic. But I don't know. I mean, eventually it will, but that won't be until it like actually breaks though. And I don't think we're there yet, so. David asking about what level does 0DT lose its impact on the VIX. So the thing is the VIX looks at contracts that are 30 days out. I think the shortest it looks at is 30 days. It's somewhere right around there. And obviously 0DT doesn't fall under that. So they could be pounding the hell out of puts, intraday. And the VIX might be red. Like this morning, like we looked at it, and that huge dump there, I mean, VIXy went red immediately afterward. It was like pretty quick. So the VIX doesn't even look. Now, what would happen is if something breaks, like if it's, if it gets bad enough that like we start breaking supports, then the VIX will probably start to uptick more, and you'll see it. Technically, like we said yesterday, it technically does have 3 higher lows here so far, for right now. But when we start breaking through, like if we lose this pivot, this 200 moving average, the VIX will uptick. I'm certain of that. And it'll start to put in higher lows and higher highs, but it won't explode unless something really starts to break. I think that's why they did the 0DTE thing. I mean, look at it. This is when they implemented it right here, and it's been down sharply ever since. Well, another thing that I just thought of, I don't know if I mentioned it in the beginning, but since 0DTEs have been included or been in part of the system, that was right here. Outside of these 4 days here, the bears have never had control. If the bears gain control of 0DTEs, I'm very interested to see how that plays out for the market, because they have not had control yet. Jay asking about dollar near term. Yeah, I mean, it should get up to 106, 106 and change. It may stall out here. You got the 50 MA on the weekly that you're kind of hugging here, but I think 106 is a good area in the near term, maybe 106.50. But this is, holding up well. Let's look at SoFi. They have, for the student loans. I mean, I'm not in love with the chart here. You got lower highs on the daily. And you kind of like lost this bullish structure. So if you had more of a kind of right angle here, I would like it, but you have 3 lower highs and then you have equal lows. So that tells me it's hammering on this level to push down to about $6. So that would be for me, that would be a pass on SoFi there. Let's look at RYTM. Rhythm Pharmaceutical. Oh, so I'm not too familiar with this name. It does have it is a thin name. Just be aware of that. So anything that trades less than 1 million shares, generally, it can get pushed around pretty easily by institutions. But you're holding this area here, but you had a pretty good sell-off. I mean, you wiped out that whole rally. It's tough to say. It probably gets a bounce here. You got the 100 moving or the 200 moving average, obviously. It is a little short-term oversold, so it probably does get a bid. But that's a pretty good distribution pattern there on this one. Just be aware of that. So is he saying Chanos is short G? But yep, yes he is. Yep. George, that's about Newmont, a little bit lower. Probably right around $40, 40, 50. That's where you really want it. Right in there. So this is where you had bear flagging for months, and then it tried to break down and it couldn't. That's where the institutions are sitting, right there. How would I trade Powell tomorrow? I don't think tomorrow is going to be anything other than, as far as him, it's probably going to be a nothing burger. The only thing that we got to look at tomorrow is the JOLTS number. So if that comes in hot, you probably get a bear bias. If that comes in soft, then you might get a bull bias. Wes asking about a firm. Let's look at a firm here. Yeah, I do not like this chart either. Very weak. Very weak chart. And it's probably going to want to go down and test $10, honestly. That was your last breakout there. This is setting up down move, sideways action. So I would avoid that one. Let's look at, well, some of the uranium miners maybe. But uranium is also in, CCJ is coming in nicely. This is still holding up really well though. And if you look at how it's performed, even with rising rates, it's holding up. I mean, the long-term fundamentals make sense though. So if we look at the URNM, oops. This is a much weaker chart here. I'm watching this wedge though. I think that's going to tell us where which direction we're going to go in. If this breaks down, that's fine. This will be a really good buying opportunity at some point in the future. But again, we'll just watch this wedge, let the charts tell us what to do here. But, again, they've held up a lot better than a lot of other things, even in a rising rate environment. So, but yeah, a little bit of weakness there. Nice inside bar there on the daily. So that should go down and test this lower trend line again. Michael, I would agree with you being in a bear trap, maybe if you weren't a perma bull. So, I mean, like, you can only say, like, we're going to rally every single time, and eventually you're going to be right. So, yeah. Yeah, volatility is tough, Jerry. I mean, if it gets to an extreme, like if it really like dumped down, to like 16 in a straight line, then maybe you could take a stab at it. But it's so skewed right now. It's just so skewed. Yeah, yeah, it does. Zero DT does hide real risk. Yeah, and it does screw up price discovery too. So, at the fact that we have it every single day, it was bad enough when we had it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you know, every day it's like, well, we have this gamma unwind, and you can notice a lot on a lot of these days here. If you notice the last, 15 minutes or so, not so much here, but it wouldn't even surprise me today if we pump up a little bit here as we get kind of like a gamma unwind at the end of the day. Right here, back at the end or in the middle of last week, when we get these moves, there was that one on Friday from 2 weeks ago where just the gamma unwinds if these levels don't break. And then it's like the next day, it's like it never happened, It's like one day is almost like its own business cycle every day. Um, when are Serge asking when or what will zero DT punish look like besides probably what you just said, more regulations. Maybe they'll probably try to blame it on retail, like they blame everything else on retail. So you know, even though like the premium on just for today alone, the last I checked, like 30 minutes ago, on SPX is like 6.5 billion at just at 4,000. That's not retail, like there's no retail doing that. But they'll blame it on retail though. I don't know if GE has a short ticker, Jerry. You could look that up though. If you can't short it in like a retirement account or whatever, you could just buy puts potentially. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, Travis. So the Fed's made it pretty clear that they want to sell calls to the market. So, and that's exactly what they did, Friday or Thursday. They got everybody on board, and they pretty much pump and dumped it. Yeah, we'll be watching that Jolts number. We'll see if we get a bid here. If you're going into tomorrow, so let's look at tomorrow here. We broke this trend line here. We got about 20 minutes left. We'll see what we get into the close. They might give us a little bit of a relief bounce here, like we talked about. Maybe they can make a run at maybe even run at 400 potentially on the SPY there. I do think that's a pretty good reversal. I don't know what the jobs number is going to be like, but we do have lower highs here now on the daily. And if we come down again, this area is not going to hold up. So, all right, cool. Let's see. So yeah, spiders basically hanging in here now, down just 1.3. Russell down 87 basis points, trying to hold this 50 moving average. Let's look at the diamond here. Yeah, diamond's still pretty good dump there, near the lows of the day. It is coming off them a little bit here. Nice. I love that retest though. Take a look at the 50 and 20, and that trend line. Good rejection off of that. So nice move there on the Dow. And the triple Q is also coming in off the 20 minute. Again, watch this area tomorrow. If this doesn't hold, that's a second fake breakout. On the spiders, again, this trend line here, if you close below today's low, that's going to take you down to here, and this should not hold again. We've already hit it 3 times, so be careful with that area. The all-time high trend line is in that area as well, but we've already put in hypothetically, we already put in a lower high. So I don't know if that holds here. I think we really, I guess, you know, this was my original target here, right around 387, 385, 387. And I guess that trend line's downsloping at this point, so we could meet it in that area. But either way, nice little dump here for the market. Very funny to me. It's funny to me that, you know, Bostic just set the market up like, oh yeah, we're basically going to pause. And then Powell said, we're not at all. So, by the way, odds of a 50 basis point hike went up to 54%, just so you guys know, going into the next FOMC. But we'll see what we get here tomorrow. Thank you guys there. Appreciate you guys. But yeah, we'll see what we get here tomorrow. Thanks guys for coming out. Just want to do a quick live stream for everybody. For the members, I'll do a video in a few minutes as soon as the closing bell is there. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. You can find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.